the skill overlap between learning and marketing is actually pretty substantial, but we don't always call it the same thing in learning. We might call it something totally different. And so what are some skills that you see in marketers that would really benefit the learning world?
I think if I think about the marketing of the learning environment and L&D type motions, I think thematically, I think we've all talked about, speaking the language of the audience that you're trying to connect with. Whether you're selling a membership to a family or whether you're trying to sell, a learning and development solution to, a company, or training to an engineer. It's using language that those individuals use and talking about how it helps them be successful. Whether it's, again, a sales organization, engineering organization, it's like we're in this together. I am not trying to force this on you. This is what you could use to actually be successful, and obviously offer it in a way that is more interesting and engaging, helps. That is situationally relevant, because it's hard to take a ton of training and then not be able to apply it right away. So there's how you deliver it and what you deliver, but I do think that using the language of the individual that you're trying to sell it to versus having people understand the acronym L&D, like no one has to know that to actually take training, right? No one has to know what a learning platform is, what an LMS is at all. Right? I mean, they just need to understand that this time that they're going to spend is going to make them a better human, is going to make them a better professional, is going to make them successful, and the hour, the 5 hours, the 10 hours they'll invest actually will buy back more time for them because they're going to be more effective and efficient at whatever they could be doing, whether it's coding or selling or marketing. So I do think speaking in the language and literally using the exact words that they use to talk about the value they provides a huge, it just removes the friction because there's no decodering required to say L&D, LMS, learning platform. It's like, how does that apply to my job? It applies a lot to your jobs, but it doesn't apply to ours. But what does apply to ours is driving results, is, connecting with customers. So that's a big thematic element that I would say, and a big piece of feedback I would provide. It helps us market our own marketing inside the company. We can talk to, sellers, we talk to engineers, we talk to the board, and try to either get funding or convince engineers that, their job is actually to build the reputation of our company as well. Is speaking in their language in terms of saying, look, this is how you're going to actually, provide better code, is helpful. It gets you traction because it engenders you just because it builds trust. It's like, oh, you can actually speak my language. And while I can't speak to a 404 level language of an engineer, just that you took the time to understand how they operate and how they actually are rewarded and the struggles they go through, ties you together and creates a better connection with those individuals. I think tying your success to theirs also is good, right? I mean, so we're, from the marketing standpoint, we're tying our success to that of the company and saying, look, we're in it with you, so we're going to rise and fall with everybody else. That's huge. Like I will get, if you can tie, like as a learning and development individual, my rating will be directly impacted by how the uptake of this training with your staff. That you're in it with them, I think also helps.
So this is obviously overlapping on a lot of storylines that we've talked about so far. Storytelling, knowing your customer. You talked, Cecilia, about talking with people one-on-one and hearing their very unique perspective. Eleanor, you also have a marketing org role. What do you say?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what Mika said. I think knowing your audience, knowing how to talk to them, I think showing the ROI, but in a human form, I think is sort of what you want to do, is sort of say, here's the benefits, right? Here's why I want you to take this training. It will help expand your skill set. I see you moving up to this position in the company, and, in order to do that, you need more, training around management. So I think just telling that more complete story and kind of what's in it for the individual, I think is certainly very helpful. And I think training can be really fun. I think people forget about that too. Like I've had great training classes, and I think that just not to lose sight of that. Like it's not all clicking on links in a, as you go through the compliance thing. Like it's getting to know people. You can form connections with people you might not otherwise know. And so I think talking about some of that too, and it's a fun way to spend. It can be a really fun way to spend a couple hours and expand your skill set.
I think if you're looking for like a practical application of how can you take that and apply it, one thing I've seen be successful in customers is they identify a power user within a business unit or a power learner and partner with them in tandem to go after their peers as like a grassroots effort. Because if you're hearing it from someone who does your job that's reputable within your business unit, you're more likely to adopt and like have automatic trust in what that person is saying. So, whether that's by newsletters or webcasts or however, whatever the technology is within your organization, that's a really great, like, quick hit way to get some, like, awareness of, oh, this is actually for me. I could better myself in this skill, this role, or my aspirational role.
Yeah, so like to take from marketing, a lot of companies have evangelists, tech evangelists or product evangelists, so why not have a learning evangelist?
Well, but it doesn't even have to be, because once it becomes, like for us in marketing, we're learning, if it becomes a learning evangelist versus an evangelist for the outcome, it actually becomes about the outcome and not about the learning, which is more motivating. So where we are trying to get our sales individuals far more data oriented. And so we are actually taking, of hundreds of sellers, we're taking 18 of them, and we actually declared them at our sales meeting and put their names up and said, these 18, we're going to advantage with data. And what I essentially, and all the people that are working on it said is what we're putting on the line is that we think we're going to actually reach their quota faster, and more of them as a percentage are actually going to make club faster, and they're going to see bigger deals. And so we put that on the line with them, but they've also agreed to spend time with us to use data in a different way to be able to be better. And so it becomes this, wow, they're a special crew, rather than telling 100 people, me standing on stage in a keynote saying, all of you are going to use data and you're going to do this tool and use this tool. It becomes this, we're going to take you guys, we're going to prove this model. And it's not about marketing, it's actually about selling better. And it has nothing to do with, it has less to do with the tool and the data. It is about selling better. But essentially staking, our own reputation and our own success to these people. But once they're successful, it becomes a pull for the training on how to use the data and how to use the tool versus this thing you have to do because you've proven that it makes other people successful, and success breeds success. I think that taking some power users is great.
I think the power user thing is important because it allows the organization to make the training feel like their own. Like I think if you must get this in marketing, we get it in engineering, where if the engineers feel like the training is coming more from engineering than it is from some other third party, and they've made it themselves, and we include some people that the engineers respect, like our CTO in the training or some chief architects who are coming in there, it starts to feel more like a engineering training or a marketing training or a finance training than a training organization's training. And then you get ownership within the organization of that training. You start to get people evangelizing it amongst themselves, and it becomes that self-sustaining thing rather than something you have to constantly force upon people to get them to do.
Absolutely.